Thank you very much, and I hope you're doing well today.
As soon as I understood that I was going to interview you again, I am so happy, and especially when I have this on my hands, you know.
Ah, great. Wonderful.
Congratulations. It seems like that you took care of the lockup and do all this album. It's 14 songs. It's a lot of music.
Yeah, we had actually about 25 pieces of music to work on, and it was really difficult to, whittle it down to 14 songs. But when you're sequencing, very often you don't really know until the very last moment what songs are going to really go together. But I love the album format. I love that art form of presenting a whole vision as a package together, the songs, how they work together, how different or similar they might be, how they work with the artwork. And, for the artists, it lasts for a couple of years, really, when you release a record and then you go on tour. So it's important for me that the whole thing works together.
I would like to know why the name of the Elephants on Mars.
Again, the thing about the sequencing and the picking of the album title, sometimes that does actually come kind of late in the project. And I didn't really set out to make a themed album from the beginning. I really just wanted to make an album that had what I felt were the best compositions I'd ever written, the best arrangements I'd come up with the team. And I wanted, to push my guitar playing to some levels, so to accomplish new ways of reaching people emotionally with my guitar playing. So these were the things that were the themes actually when we started. So by the time we worked on the song that became the title track, we were deep into the album, maybe 2/3 of the way through. And then when one particular song came up as something that was really beginning to shine, that's when I decided to write a science fiction story behind the song to help us get in the mood to finish the song. And the idea was that in the future, the Earth scientists, they terraform Mars. There are people living on it. It's a beautiful planet, but they don't realize that they also created these gigantic sentient elephants that can communicate with the colonists telepathically, and together they want to make Mars a free planet to break away from Earth. And so, it's a funny thing when you tell a story to the band, but then everybody got very creative because they realized it was a crazy science fiction story and the song based around that. So everyone felt like, well, that's artistic license to play a little crazier and to make it a little bit more cinematic feeling. So it's great when that works out. And then it was obvious that it should be the album title.
For me, it all started with the Shapeshifter, one of the best albums that I ever hear in your collection. I'm very glad that you are working with Kenny Aronoff. He got the punch, man. He's one of the best of the best. And you got Brian Beller, he's explosive, I mean, Master Joe, with that bass, with that drum, you are sure can do beautiful things with your guitar.
I am so lucky that I've got these guys to play with. We're so looking forward to hitting the road later on this year. Kenny and I have had a lot of experience playing live together. He was with us for the second Chicken Foot tour. I'm really so happy and playing with Kenny. He just makes a groove and a sound that nobody can touch. And together with Brian Beller, they make it a killer rhythm section. He can really play with his fingers any way you can imagine and with a pick. And he gets great tones, always very groovy and aggressive at the same time, which is really great. And since Brian's a really good composer, he has a great way of listening to music and understanding how, his bass line should work within a song. And that's a real plus, And of course, having Ray Thistlethwaite now on keyboards is really a big plus because he's just an unbelievably talented musician, plays guitar, keyboard, sings like crazy. He's, you know, a great addition to the band.
How do you feel of the new state of the guitar? You know, we have now bands like Animals as leaders. We have Pliny. We had Polithia. And you are one of the ones that start the instrumental guitar focused guitar. So how you feel now if you see backwards after all these years, what is happening right now with the guitar?
Really exciting. I mean, what the younger players are doing, even the generation, you know, younger, you know, than Tosin and Javier and Pliny, they're already, you know, they're starting with Animals as leaders as their first band, and they're taking it even further. So it's pretty exciting in the world of guitar to see young musicians take the instrument and do things with it that have never, ever been done before. It's really exciting. I think as these bands get a little bit more love from the world, you know, they will develop more as individuals. And I think that's the important part. I think I learned that as a young kid that kind of missed the classic rock era. I could see, you know, Hendrix and Page and Beck developing their instrumental side, and they were allowed, you know, because they got love from the audience. They were the thing, the hot thing. They were allowed to develop those sides, especially Jeff Beck was really allowed to career around being that unusual instrumentalist that he is. But today it's a bit more difficult for the guitar players because the instrument is not heralded like it used to be. And it's crazy because what they're doing is even more outrageous than what was done in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you know. So, you know, I'm cheering them on.
I would like to talk about this album. I have a highlights of favorite songs like Sahara. For me, it's like an expedition master. It's a great song. I love it.
You know, that was written very quickly because I was overwhelmed with this feeling about this character who was feeling lost, you know, inside, and he also found himself in a decaying urban landscape at night, and he was lost physically as well. And he was just sort of crying out, looking for some sort of help. And I actually wrote it as a vocal song, and I wrote all the lyrics. I sent the demo that had most of the original guitars that are on the album, and sent it off to the band and to Ray. And I thought this would be a great song for Ray to sing. And somehow it never really got done. And I kind of thought, well, I'll do that for another album. And then my producer, after a few weeks, said, you know, we should really do that song, but maybe there's a chance it could be an instrumental. So I had to, you know, erase the part where I thought Ray was going to be singing. I had to come up with a new melody that made sense as an instrumental melody because they're so different, you know. But in the end, it was really a great experience because I thought the song got so much better as an instrumental, and I was able to really make it a beautiful cinematic, emotional.
Totally. There's a song named 104 Street, New York. It's pretty jazzy. I love that song, Master.
Thank you. That's actually an address in New York City where my father was born and raised. And as a little kid in the 60s, I was there every Sunday visiting my relatives, playing with my cousins out on the street. And, you know, it was a wonderland. But in the 70s, of course, I became a young musician, started going to concerts and hanging out in clubs and playing. And I realized this is a really crazy, dangerous city. And so that's the kind of music, like right in the middle of that decade that we would play if it was 4:30 in the morning. And we just finished playing 6 sets of music and we're just chilling on stage after they closed the doors. And so I wanted to capture that vibe of musicians just hanging out, you know, chilling, playing some really cool music.
Pumping. It's like a tribute to Jeff Beck. I can feel something like that.
Yeah, you know, I spent so much time playing with Jeff Beck records when I was a young kid. I was fascinated by the way that he would play so little because, you know, I'd listen to Hendrix, who created a whole vision with his guitars, and Jimmy Page, totally different than Jimi Hendrix, but at the same time, there was always a lot of rhythm guitars and harmonized parts, and very sort of it was sort of an exotic Celtic kind of thing that Led Zeppelin had. Because I grew up in New York, stuff that would come from England sounded sort of exotic in a way. And then comes Jeff Beck, and he's got these early records where there's no rhythm guitar, and he plays a couple of notes and then he doesn't play anything, and then he comes in, and I thought, this is so different from his contemporaries. Now, he grew up with Jimmy Page. They used to hang out together as kids. So I was fascinated by what makes these two guys so different in how they play. And so I learned a lot from the power of that economy, how you let the band really pump. You don't try to take up all the real estate. You just pick your phrases and your spots, and you play something super meaningful. And yeah, that's a fun song. That's a trippy song without a doubt.
Thanks a lot for your time. What do you want to tell to the listeners in Radiónica here in Colombia, South America? What is your message in right now, May 2022?
Yes, it's been a long time since we've been able to celebrate music together. But
7 years, Master.
Yes. I really hope we get there soon. I'm hoping 2023 will bring us to Colombia, to South America. And let's all hope and pray that happens.